you're able to describe like MAGA and Trump and the movement in exactly that kind of way, like zoom out, who are they? What are they about? And I guess as good a place to start on that as any is the J6 pardons, which of course the left is melting down over.
Yeah. And I hear a lot of conservatives too, like Jonathan Turley just tweeted something out. And I understand that. I've learned more about the law listening to your show than I've ever known about it. So I understand that there's a legal process that could have perhaps been taken to fix the problems in the cases. And maybe we go through maybe it's 5 more years down the road, they finally get released and all that. And I get the part where he says that it's not a good thing to just blanket pardon these people. What I don't understand is them saying that it's his militia army and that, he incited an armed mob to attack the Capitol. It's just not true. And I had a personal way into that because in 2020, part of my research to getting to know the world of the right was that I was listening to Steve Bannon's War Room podcast. And I listened to it a lot. And so after the election, I felt as a Democrat that it had been rigged and that it was such a big rigging that we'd never have a fair election in this country again. And so I'd left the Democratic Party, but I went over to MAGA because I had heard that they were going to protest the election and that Trump was not accepting the results. And I thought, wow, really? That's wild. Of course, come to find later, we found out that the cabal that got together to try to rig the election had planned on him not accepting the results. And in fact, I think they even planned on a mob attacking the Capitol. But if you followed the Stop the Steal, you knew what that was about. And if you didn't, you would never know because of the way the media has covered it. But with these guys, these patriots, they don't see themselves as violent, right? When they show up at a state house or whatever, when they're armed, they're not trying to threaten violence. They're saying, if you attack me, I will defend myself. Because they think the left is the violent side, and they are. They are. I'm come from the left. This is a by any means necessary party. And so the MAGA, the same way that, MAGA, they're not the breaking windows, attacking government property party. They're just not. And if you know that about them, even Alex Jones was out there on the in DC saying no violence, peaceful only. And so for me, I thought, when I heard about the riot, I thought, what is that? What are they doing? Like, that's not the MAGA I know, And so as I watched this whole thing play out and I saw how the media portrayed them and I saw how people talked about them and described them as terrorists, I began to feel not just defensive of them, but worried about the truth of what actually happened. We know about the Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping. We know about what they did with the Muslim men, the FBI entrapment case. So why wouldn't they? If they knew something was coming to DC on January 6th, why wouldn't they do that? I'm not saying that the FBI set it up, but I am saying that it's possible that the FBI informants looking for a payout could have been working with a separate group, not Trump's group, to get this whole thing going, so that they had this proof, this thing that they had with the Gretchen Whitmer case, the same thing, it was like, these are violent people. They're a threat to our democracy. They're a threat to our country. And here's proof,
Oh, yeah. And it could be used against Trump. I mean, it could be used to potentially, as they tried, to impeach Trump so that he could, if they had their way, never run for office again. And to smear all of them, not just all of the Trump family, but all of MAGA, all of the Trump supporters. And really, I think the end goal was never let him return to office, which is one of the reasons why it's so incredible he just got sworn in again.
I never get tired of seeing that. It is the greatest thing that's ever happened, I think, in American politics. And not just because, I voted for him and I'm happy with the way things are going now. But also because they deserved it. They deserved it. You don't do that in America. You don't treat American citizens like terrorists. So with the pardons, I thought that Trump was saying, we're just going to let this go. These cases were corrupt. They had, they thought that they were fighting for me and that they were, defending the democracy or whatever in their minds, even though he had nothing to do with it. Because obviously Trump spent, if you read Ted Cruz's book, he spent an extensive amount of time trying to convince Ted Cruz and Josh Hawley to argue in the Senate. And they were doing that finally. So why would he have wanted a violent riot when all that did was hand power to the Democrats? Not just power, but absolute power. They could get anything they wanted after that. Look, it's done all the time in politics.
Yeah, and it was used not only to, if they had managed to actually convict him on the impeachment, he wouldn't have been able to run again. But when that failed, then they used it over and over in Georgia and at the federal level to try to stop him, to put him in jail so that he couldn't return to power. They threw everything they had at him. And we continue to hear about January 6th. Even before the pardons, it continued to be a theme. Barack Obama pushed it in the last hours of the campaign. So did Kamala. So did Joe Biden.
Yeah.
It was their favorite theme. And now, yes, it'll be in the news for a while here, and then it will stop because people have lives to live. I just don't think anyone other than the left is obsessing over J6.
But let me ask you this as a lawyer. The fact that she came out and said this is like Pearl Harbor and 9/11, doesn't that convict them in the court of public opinion and in D.C. so that they can't even get fair trials?
That was the goal.
Right.
That was the goal, completely antithetical to the duties of a prosecutor or a public figure who shouldn't be doing that. But we saw that repeatedly when it came to anything, not just Trump, but on the right. Like they're happy to weigh in and go with guilt before anything's proven. They just don't like it when it's done to their side. What we've been seeing already is a media that remains unhinged. Like the CNN with it was a Heil Hitler thing with Elon. We put together just a random mashup of some of the media coverage of Trump's first day. You'll be shocked to see it's not measured. It's here. Just for your entertainment, take a look.
We just witnessed the first inauguration of a convicted felon.
Donald Trump has been president for a grand total of 11 hours, and he wasted no time imposing his will on American government.
It is remarkable that he said in his inaugural address that I was saved by God, not talking about personal redemption in terms of his religious experience as a private individual. To claim that God sent you is something that we don't expect in political life. We expect it in other parts of life, maybe.
And the obsession of Trump's rhetoric is always a theme of national decline. It's a little like a cult leader who keeps predicting different days for the end of the world.
This was the inauguration of the oligarchs.
He has decided to make good on his promise to be a dictator on day one.
I don't really love that everybody's just participating in this farce.
The cruelty is the point of this coming administration. So it is very hard for me to look at this spectacle of the takeover of the United States.
MSNBC having themselves a normal one, Sasha.
Oh my God. I don't understand. I look at that and I just feel sadness because I feel like they don't have a chance. We don't have a chance. If this is our media, we don't have a chance.
Increased tariffs on our trade partners, tax cuts, and regulation changes. There's a reason why gold is a diversification tactic now more than ever. Birch Gold is releasing their ultimate guide for gold in the Trump era with a foreword by Donald Trump Jr. To get your free copy, along with Birch Gold's free information kit on gold, text MK to the number 989898. Here are the facts. The national debt continues to increase. Our interest payments on the national debt continue to increase. So gold is an important option, and it can be your hedge against a weakened dollar. Birch Gold can convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in gold. Text MK to 989898 for your free copy of the ultimate guide for gold in the Trump era. There's no obligation, just information. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, countless 5-star reviews, and thousands of happy customers, find out more about Birch Gold. There is a reason so many people love these guys and take all or just a small part of their existing IRAs and move them over into gold with Birch. Text MK to the number 989898 today. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.